If you love the West Tigers as much as we do, and that's an awful lot, you're welcome to come and join us in our discussions on the West Tigers podcast forum. Our forum is the #1 forum for West Tigers fans to talk everything West Tigers. westtigerspodcast.com.au/forum. We hope to see you there soon.
We've got a new segment tonight, boys. By the way, there's no introduction tonight. We're just going to go straight into it. We know what we do on the midweek pod. There's the game preview.
Isn't that an introduction, Eddie, now? The fact you're talking about it?
So I looked up the number for no reason, Eddie.
I'm the host, boys. I'll leave.
So you're introducing the fact that there's no introduction.
We've got a new segment. It's called The Fairies, Steve. And I'm a good listener. That's one thing I do. And I listen to Sunday night's pod. And I heard Declan, he made a very good point. He said, we need to start each of these podcasts with some positive affirmation. And since I've got the three fairies themselves tonight, Gary, Nick and Steve, on the podcast, we're going to go through and each of us is going to give us something positive around the club at the moment. I'll actually start off because I'm sure you guys think I've got nothing. But my biggest positive, and it's a serious one, is our leader, Shane Richardson. We'll get into it later, but I think he is outstanding. He did a 10-minute chat today. We will talk about it later around Campbelltown Stadium, and I just think it's complete chalk and cheese to what we've had over the past decade, the way he's leading the club forward. So that is mine. Steve, what is yours?
Yeah, similar to yours, Eddie. I've said there's a tough resolve around the club now that didn't exist in the past. And I just put 3 dot points. You can see it in the team out in the football field. You can see it in Benji when he's talking in press conferences and post-match. And to echo your point, you can see it in Richo, an example of it today. So, yeah, that's mine.
Gary, yours?
I was going to say leadership, but both of you guys have kind of combined that together and stolen that. So instead of just saying leadership, I'll go with football. I think we've got a better football team now than what we've had in the past. And Eddie probably sees that as believing in fairies, but we have a better football team than we've had in the past.
Nick, what is your positive? You've probably got 10.
I've got lots of positives. I'd just like to thank Gary the Hairy Fairy for his fairy affirmations there. That was very good. But no, I think the club's just heading in the right direction. Like, honestly, like you said, Eddie, Richo is demonstrating his leadership. And I think he made a comment in, or it might have been you, Gary, in our chat today, that the way he came across in that 10-minute speech was quite bullish, but that's how he operates and he doesn't muck around. And I love seeing that leadership, and I think that's something that we've lacked. So, leadership will filter down from the top down through the playing roster, and I think that's the way that our team is starting to head. Even after a 24-ish or whatever it was, 22-point loss against the Broncos, I still think we're heading in the right direction.
In a minute, I've asked the boys to give a quarterly report. I know it's not exactly a quarter of the way through the season, but 5 weeks in, I've asked them to give them a grading for the side after 5 rounds. Our best player so far, surprise player, most disappointing player, the best thing currently about the team and the worst thing currently about the team, and also expectations and maybe a prediction, whether it's similar or different to the start of the year. But just backtracking to Saturday night, Steve, you weren't on the podcast Sunday. I think you did give a word. I know Gary gave his word around, was it game plan, Gary, or was that just what you were? It was around the game plan. What did you make of Saturday night? Were there more positives than negatives?
Yeah. Well, there were. At the end of the day, we got beaten by 20-odd points, right? Which you don't want. So that's a negative in itself. But there were positives. We played some good football in parts. My one word would have been outkicked. And that to me was the difference. Like, I know the back end of the game got away from us, and it really got away from us either side of half time. But I believe the difference between the two teams when it mattered was they kicked better than us. And that you can say goal kicking, you can say general play kicking, and then you can say attacking kicking, because Reynolds came up with a beautiful little play there to sort of steal the game for them. So, but the positives are that we did hang in there for as long as we could against a really red hot side that when they put the foot on the accelerator are very hard to go with. I think we went with them pretty well, but the negative is we end up losing by 20 odd points, and that's no good.
I saw a stat, boys, that the Dragons actually haven't scored a try for kick all year, whereas I think the Broncos, to your point, Steve, have scored 35% of their tries off kicks. So as good as a side as the Broncos are, it takes the craft of someone like Adam Reynolds to put the polish on some of those plays. But Gary, can you expand on your one-word game planning? You were very impressed with the coaching early in that game.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've sat down and watched a West Tigers game since Benji started coaching, and I could see what our game plan was for that game. There was a couple of things that really stood out. The short passing early between forwards and short passing to second rowers, I thought really struggled the Broncos, which it did the week before as well in the game the week before. Was it against the Dolphins? I can't remember. Whoever they played the week before, that short passing game hurt them that week, and you could see that was a tactic that we were using early on. And even though Steve said we're out kicked, there was an obvious plan to kick early and kick in behind their outside backs, and I thought that worked really well. It led to a try, led to the repeat set of 6 that led to Buller running through off the dropout and setting up Taruva in the corner. So there was a clear game plan, I think, a visible game plan for the first time in a long time. And I actually thought our block plays were looking a lot better as well. So yes, we did get beaten, but to me, we lost that game because once Brisbane presses the go button, there's not many teams in the competition that can go with them, and they pushed the go button either side of half time, and we couldn't go with them. And that's where the game was won and lost, in that 10-minute period, really, either side of half time. They just blew us off the park in that small little part of the game. The rest of the game was fairly even, and we're well and truly in that game. I thought it was a very impressive performance, despite having 46 points put against us.
Gary, you mentioned in the block plays, that try that Toa scored in the first half down the right side.
It was a beautiful block play.
When they were setting that up, my wife was sitting on the lounge. She doesn't really watch the game or care, but I actually commented before Toa crossed over. I said, look at the shape on this play. Like, I was really impressed with the shape that we hit the defensive line with, or we're running towards the try line with, and I haven't really seen that before. So I think that we're definitely making strides forward. But yeah, it was good to see that.
I think that particular try, that is the best block play, best shape I've seen us throw at a team in a long, long time. That was really impressive for me. And when you sit here and think about it, that was done without our halfback.
Yep.
So it was done without our big money signing, our halfback, and everyone did their role correctly in that. So while we did get outplayed in parts of that game, I can't really fault that. We're a team coming off 3 wooden spoons, and the Broncos are right up there with the Melbourne Storm as my favourites to win the competition. So I'm not going to sit here and dwell too much on what happened on Sunday night. That they scored 46 points against us. We just can't stick with them when they decide to go. So I thought it was a really impressive performance by the Tigers. And I think that probably means Eddie thinks I believe in pixies.
Well, I just can't go that far, Steve. I can't say it was a really impressive performance, because I did watch the game and I predicted us to lose by more. I don't know if I said on the podcast, but I think I said on the group chat, I thought 48-12 or something like that. And it ended 46-24. And there were positives out there, but if you had showed me the stats and I didn't watch the game, and I saw that a red-hot Brisbane made 14 errors, lost the penalty count 10-5, and had someone in the sin bin, I'd be pretty disappointed with the 46-24 scoreline. Is that unfair or not?
No, it's not. And I can actually, I don't like sitting on the fence, but I can actually see both perspectives there. I can understand what Gary and Nick are saying, in that, from where we've come from, the effort is there, the stickability is there. We don't give up in games. We showed a lot of attacking flair. We showed a lot of grit in that game. So there are a lot of positives. But I also can see what you're saying. At the end of the day, this is first grade football, and if we're going to be a top eight contender, which is what we want to be, then we have to be able to overcome setbacks and adversity, and we have to be able to go. Like I heard Phil Gould say a great thing. I think it was in the preseason on his six tackles with Gus, and he said, often you say, oh, if the Broncos have an off day, we might get them. He said, but you're a premiership force when you can say, oh, the Broncos had a great game and we still might get them. All right, that we can actually go with them. Now, there's a long way to go for that for our club, and it's unrealistic to expect that of us yet, right? And that's why there are a lot of positives out of last week's game. But that's what we've got to aim for. At the end of the day, we're in the NRL competition. We want to compete for the top eight. We want to make the top eight, and we want to press for a premiership in the next couple of years. And so that was a good indicator, right? That when we do our face with some adversity, some injuries, we can't field our top side, then we still can't go with the top teams in the competition. That's okay, but it's not to be celebrated. We've got to work on it and get there.
Look, I don't think anyone's celebrating it. I would have loved to beat the Broncos the other night, but I also went into the game knowing that you put our squad next to theirs, and there's a massive difference even before you take out the injuries. So I'm not going to sit here and say we lost because Jerome Luai didn't play. I thought we were fantastic despite Jerome Luai not playing. And I know people find it hard to say we're fantastic when we still lost by 20 points. But the thing for me is I can identify parts of that game, as I said earlier, where we showed a game plan, where we showed resilience. In the past, if we let in those tries either side of half time that we let in, they run away with the game and probably put on 60. And these are the things that show a work in progress, that we're moving forward. And you can't go from the wooden spoon to contending with a top two side overnight. And Steve's right, it's a really good indication of where we are. But I don't think anyone was delusional enough going into that game to have us level pegging with the Broncos anyway. So for me, while it's an indication of where we are and where we've got to get to, you also got to mark yourself against where you've come from. And for me, the other night showed really good progress. I'd love to beat the Broncos, but we're just not there yet. Once they decide to go, we just can't stick with them.
Yeah, I think celebrate is probably not the right word. I think what we tried to express on the pod on Sunday night was more acknowledgement of what we had achieved. And I know we lost by 20 odd points, but I think that the improvements that we've made and showed in that game are worth talking about, and they're worth acknowledging. So I guess that's, I think, where we were probably coming from. But yeah, you obviously can't celebrate a 20-point loss, but there were moments from that game, like the shape we were just talking about in some of our attacking plays, which are showing a lot better or showing a lot more than what we've seen in the last few years. So I think we're making strides forward.
Undoubtedly on the young guys, like there is, I don't think there'd be another team in a comp with 3 19-year-olds and then Buller's young. I'd prefer, Steve, if it was sort of like 46-24 is not quite what it used to be. Like if you used to concede 46 10 years ago, you got lapped. But under these new rules where you get this run on and 6 against, you can sort of forgive a side every now and then, especially against the Broncos for giving up 40. I just sort of worry whether our basis is a little bit shaky in terms of just those. I know he's a good young player, that Brisbane forward. I can't remember his name. He scored 2 tries out of dummy half, or very close. One was out of dummy half and one was a little reverse play close to the line. I look at, the Canterbury rebuild, which was second last to fifth, and their foundation was based upon a pretty steely defence. And even if they were going to lose games, they weren't going to give up. Like, we've scored 24 points the last 2 games and lost one at home when we were favourites, and lost, obviously, to the Broncos. So I didn't have such a, like you guys said, a lot of positives, but they're mainly on the attacking side of the ball, which I said in pre-season, this side won't have problems scoring points. This team will average 22, 24 a game, I reckon, and be probably top 8 in attack. But if they're bottom 2 or 3 in defence, not going to go far up the ladder.
We had this discussion another time. I'm not sure it was on a pod or just generally chatting. And we were saying, well, what's our real marker of success? And it's actually probably unfair to be saying, okay, well, let's use the game against the Broncos as a benchmark, because we know, like, they are, as we've said, they are, if not competition favourites, they're close to it. To me, the real benchmark for us is how we play against teams that are gunning for the positions on the ladder that we think we're capable of. And that, to me, is 5, 6, 7, 8 in the competition. And that's your Warriors and your Newcastle Knights, for example, right? Now we've already shown in both those games that we can compete play for play, ball for ball, minute for minute with those teams. And we can hang in the fight. And if it wasn't for a moment in time and a bad decision here and a bad decision there, we come away with those wins. So we already know that we can compete for the bottom of that top 8 this season. And so what our next step is, so now we get the Knights again this week. Well, we've got to go the next step from when we played them last time. We've got to compete with them ball for ball, minute for minute, set for set. But this time, win those moments and come away with the 2 points, and actually come away with something that gives us something tangible that we are capable of being a top 8 team, because we are. We're showing that, but we've got to ice those moments. We've talked about that before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more tonight.
I know we're going to talk about the Knights game a little bit further on, but this game on Sunday is really crucial. I know it's a tough trip up to Newcastle, but this is a team we should beat. You have a look at the sides on paper. This is a game we should win. So it's really crucial that we go out there and perform really well, and not just perform really well, but come away with the 2 points. I don't think there's any excuse for not winning the game this weekend. It's really crucial.
This is a game we have to win. You might say it's a game we should win, but for me, we have to win, and we have to beat the Eels the following week, because if we don't, it starts getting too hard, because then the opposition gets harder after that. So yeah, we need to stay. I've said it before. By the time we get to Origin, we need to be around that 50-50, and that's more for our confidence than anything. I still think, and we'll talk about it in the points that Eddie talked about earlier, but I still think we can push for that bottom part of the 8. But we've got to have things go our way, and we have to start winning these tight games. We've already lost a couple of tight games, but these are the games that we need to win.
Sort of a bit of a running joke, Steve, on the chat. I say every week is Judgment Week, but like really, the next 2 weeks, we couldn't get a better opportunity to have almost established the season. You get Newcastle, and we'll go in it later, but they've got 4 out, and then we get Parramatta, who are not going to have Lomax or Moses. It's the perfect opportunity to go 4-3 heading into a Leichhardt game against the Sharks. And then almost you're a third of the way through the season and you're away from the negative. But, like, Lord, behold, if we lose these 2 games, you know?
I said before the season started, we did our predictions, and we were talking about the start of the season, and I said we need to be 3 from 6, 4 from 7. That to me would be a realistic start to the season.
Opportunities right there.
Yeah, so if we get these 2 games, we end up being 4 from 7, and I reckon that ticks, the first month and a half of footy for where we've come from. But yeah, we've already shown that we can compete with both these teams. We've just got to now ice the moments.
All right, quarterly report, boys. We'll stick to just the one word for your report card on the side. We know they're 2 from 5, but actual grading in terms of A to F. Nick, I'll start with you. What do you got?
C+.
Steve?
Yeah, I've just got straight C. They're exactly where I think we thought they'd be, or where I thought they'd be.
Gary?
Yeah, I've got a C as well. It's
Jeez,
pretty much.
I had
right
a
down
B
the middle.
minus. I'm the positive one all of a sudden. Now the tables have turned. You've given them Steve's
No,
book.
you just don't understand the grading scale, mate.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've given gradings. They still give old school report gradings at school, or that go out?
Yeah, they
20
do.
years, Steve?
I think you're pretty close to the mark there, Eddie. B minus, C plus is very, very close. I think we're slightly better than average. C would be an average score for me. I think we're slightly better.
Well, if they lose the next two, it'll be an F, but I'll stick with B minus for now.
It'll be an F before kickoff on the
I think
weekend.
this is unanimous, Steve. I don't want to speak for everyone, but who's been our best player?
Yeah, but I think we're all going to say the same thing. It's been Adam Dewey. No, sorry. Terrell May's that guy. Adam Dewey has played good football this year. I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, Terrell May.
How good has he been, Gary? Even on the weekend, Broncos went after him from the kickoff. You could tell it was almost like, let's take out their big shot forward, their only dominant forward. And they did push him back a couple of times, but he kept coming back. And I haven't seen the stats for Haas, but I reckon he might have won the points against Haas there.
Yeah, Declan said that he thought that Terrell won the points. For me, it looked like that there was all that talk about Terrell and Origin before the game, and it was almost like the Broncos went out there to prove a point. And I thought they did a really good job on him early, but just like he does every week, I think he's a guy that builds into a game, and the longer he's out on the field, the better he gets. I thought he was really strong defensively. I thought he contained Payne Haas really well defensively, as did the rest of the side. I thought we did a really good job against him the other night. But yeah, Terrell, I don't think he's setting the world on fire in the open 20 minutes. He's doing his job. But as the game gets, the longer he's on the field, the better he's playing. A super impressive season so far from him.
The long one word.
He asked me a question. He didn't ask me for the name. He actually
That's
asked
true.
me a question, Steve.
I did the grading. I asked for one word, so I'll give Gary a pass on that one. Nick,
Right, fair enough.
I have to agree. I've got Terrell May as well, but just an honourable mention to Sonia Taruva, who I think has been
you took the words out of
exceptional.
my mouth there. He's been awesome.
Yep.
I just think Gary, he's been I'll go to you, Nick, because you mentioned it. He's been, I don't know, signing of the year across the clubs. There's probably someone that stands out. Not playing for our
Terrell,
club, but
Terrell May
yeah,
is in that conversation as
Terrell
well.
May would be right in it. But Taruva, I just
Yep.
think has been awesome. Not just his finishing, but just every part of his game. I think he's been great. So let's
Yep.
go. Surprise player, Steve. Have you got one?
Yeah, I do. I got a few. I don't know which one to say. Look, I'm gonna change from what I got written down. I'm gonna say Jack Bird because I think Jack Bird has had been really impactful when he's come on and made his presence felt and made a big difference to our team. And I wasn't really expecting that when we signed him. I reckon I was starting to expect it when I heard he came to training early, was doing extras, was trying to get himself really fit. And I thought, wow, this guy means business. So it probably didn't surprise me from that time on. But from when we first signed him, I reckon his impact's been amazing.
One word, Steve.
Yeah, I'm just following your lead, mate.
Was one of the two I had written down, Gary. I had Bird for exact same reasons as Steve, and I do think it. I still think he's whenever he starts, I worry because I think it brings out the errors in his game when he has to play 80 minutes. But he's been exceptional on the bench, and he's back there this week. But I had my mate Stafford Toller as the other one. He's surprised me. I think he's been relatively consistent over 5 rounds, which certainly you couldn't accuse him of that in the past.
No, and we went into this season where I thought the centres were going to be a real weakness, and I'm very reluctant to give my name, not because most people think I don't like him, but more so because anytime I've given him a rap in the past,
It's a shocker.
he's turned around and played poorly after it. But I think Adam Dewey has surprised me this season. His goal kicking has been outstanding, and his centre play has been quite strong. And the big part of his game that I do have fault with is his defence. And the effort areas around his defence have been really good for probably the first time consistently in his career. But I am worried now that this weekend he'll turn around and have a shocker because that's usually what happens when I give him a rap.
Is Adam Dewey back on your Christmas card list, Gary?
No, he's not on my Christmas card list. And I don't know whether I'd be looking to extend him at this point. Like, I'd have to see him doing this for the majority of the season before I look at extending him. But that there is real signs of improvement in that centre role, which I've been quite impressed with.
Just
He's
quickly,
very-
don't you think another club will probably jump in if he keeps this up for another month? We'll probably lose him, won't we?
Look, I just don't think you can rush out and look. There's still concerns around injuries for him, I think, and I've seen him have good periods in the past where he gets a month down the track and the effort kind of starts to turn. So if he can keep this level up, I'm happy to have him as a centre in our club. But I need to see more than just the first month of football.
What do we got? This one's more in my wheelhouse, Steve. Most disappointing player.
Yeah, well, I've drawn a blank, mate. I really cannot come up with someone that I am actually disappointed in. There have been moments in games I've been disappointed. Like there's missed tackles and there's still dumb plays and some poor penalties, that sort of thing. But everyone that I've seen put on a jersey this year is going out there and having a crack and outperforming really a lot of expectations. Like your example of Stafford Taylor is a good one. Even for Tape, who's out there, he's still got an error in him, and he's still got a brain explosion, but he's trying his guts out, and he's doing some good things when he gets an opportunity as well. So, yeah, I'm gonna pass, mate. I'm not gonna say anyone that I am disappointed in at this point in time.
Gary.
Yeah, I will find a couple of guys that I can pinpoint, but I've got to go. I do agree with Steve. I think most of the guys that have played first grade this season have been quite good. I still don't think Jerome Luai is playing up to the standards personally that we want to see from him, but I think he will get there. But the guys I'm really disappointed in is we've got Matamua and Tumif down playing Ron Massey Cup, and one of them's playing Sydney Shield. One's playing Ron Massey Cup.
What's the
this
Sydney
weekend.
Shield? Isn't that a rugby comp, Gary?
Oh yeah, I might have made that up.
I know.
So, but they're both playing at that lower tier level, and for me, if you've got top 30 guys and they're not even making your reserve grade side, then that's a huge disappointment.
Got anyone for me, Nick?
Yeah, I thought you were actually going to have a go at me because I was going to say Justin Matamua, and he hasn't even played a game for us. But Gary just mentioned Matamua, so I'll jump on the back of that. But for me, he's the biggest disappointment from the off season because we're all hoping that he was going to come out and prove everyone wrong and show us that he was the 13 that he was supposed to be a few years ago. But he's the one that I've got. I don't want to bag Fanua Pole because I love him, but just his defense. And I know Gary, you've pointed out several times over many pods that he gets a bit lazy in defence, and I think was it the first one or two tries, or what was it? The first try he got stepped twice last week.
He got bumped off and then stepped in the one play.
Yeah, and it's becoming a little bit of a thing fairly regularly. But if he can tighten up his defence, he could be anything. Like his footwork, I love him watching him in attack. His footwork's incredible at the line. He bamboozles a lot of defenders, and he's such a big, strong boy. But if he can tighten up his defence, he'll go a long way. But just the other one I wanted to mention, not so much a disappointing play, but a disappointing moment for me was Naden's knee dislocation in the trial because I was hoping that he'd be a walk-up start in the centre role come round one, but it didn't happen.
Now, talking about fairies, anyone who believed and not hoped that Matamua was going to take that 13 spot, I think was believing in fairies because I think the evidence over the last couple of years has shown, and I was hoping over the off-season, I was hoping that the loss of weight and the improved fitness would see him fulfill that role, but it's just not going to happen. He's to the point where I think he struggles to get an NRL contract at another club.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the West Tigers podcast. Don't forget, if you agree or disagree, we'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on the West Tigers podcast forum. It's free to join and you can contribute directly to the podcast on the forum. Just head to westtigerspodcast.com.au/forum. We hope to see you there soon.
I had two players written down, Steve, and I wouldn't say they've been disappointing, but it's probably more based on expectation because you mentioned that. I think they've been patchy. And, it was coming into the season, a lot of experts, Andrew Johns and these guys, and even not so much Richo because he's going to pump our tyres up. But I think Appy's been fairly quiet outside the two magic moments he had against the Dolphins. And I'll get criticised for this, but I still think Jareen Buller's got a lot of. He's lost ground in his defensive play. I just don't think it's what it was that first year. He was awesome in saving tries or being in the right position for kicks. And I think that's dropped off fairly significantly. Now, you could say, I'm not talking about the Adam Reynolds one because he's a freak, Adam Reynolds, and he got the ball bounced back and he was a fair way back, but I'm not critical of that. But that effort against the Warriors and other things, you can say I'm nitpicking his game, but he's not the busiest fullback in the world. He's got a lot of class, and I just think that gritty side of his game's maybe dropped off a bit.
Well, you can pick and choose moments in games, and I think you can pick and choose moments for any argument. So I'd counter that argument by saying that some of the reason that Taruva's looking so good is because of the space Dream Buller has been able to create for him, and some of the shape that Dream Buller has been running this year, which has been stacks better than what it was last season, and back to
Agree with
the
that.
original form that we saw from him when he first hit the stage. Yeah, he's still got deficiencies. He's going to make errors because he's a young guy. I just think it's too early in the season to be throwing the word disappointing, like players we're disappointed in. I agree with Luai. Like Luai to me hasn't yet shown what he wants to show, right? But I'm not disappointed in him yet. He's brought a lot to the club and he's bringing a lot to the game. Appy's got a missed tackle in him, absolutely. But geez, the way he controls the ruck and brings those forwards onto the ball, like it's just so noticeable when he's not there. And what's becoming more and more important for us is Appy's time on the field and De Silva's time on the field. Like that 60-20 minute sort of combination they've got going is just really important for us. And I tell you now, we'll talk about it later, that's going to be super important this weekend.
Yeah, going back to Buller, for me, I think he's been our most dangerous player this season. In attack with the ball in his hand, I think by far is probably creating more opportunities and half breaks than anyone else in the side, maybe outside of Galvin. So I'm really happy with him attacking. I'm not as worried as you are about his defense, Eddie. I think that will get there, and I think players go through a period sometimes where, especially as a fullback, where you're just not making those tackles. But the interesting one, the one you didn't want to mention, the Adam Reynolds one, it was really interesting when Adam Reynolds went off the field the other night. I think he let it slip a little bit because I don't see players do this too often.
The
He actually
homework on him.
said they had planned that and used Buller by name. So I think the Broncos had realised he's standing a little bit deep at times in defence, in the defensive when they had the ball, and he put that chip over the top because that was a planned play. That wasn't an ad lib play from Adam Reynolds. He spoke about it at halftime. He planned that play. So I thought that was quite interesting. So that might be something that he needs to work on a little bit.
All right, we won't do any more predictions or expectations because we've got to move on with Richo's. Wasn't Richo's rant, Nick? It was Richo's. Always like a State of the Nation address. I mean, I just sit up a bit straighter when I'm in my chair listening to Richo. I feel like he's watching me or something. It's good to see he's got the beard back. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Or not?
I didn't watch the YouTube. I was in the car this afternoon. I did
I'll
listen
tell you right
to
now,
it.
he's got the beard back. He looks a bit meaner when he's got the beard.
Bit more authority.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does come across like a headmaster, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd
eh,
want him as my headmaster.
no, he's definitely on the front foot. He's very direct in what he said. He was very blunt in saying that if they can't secure the funds, then they can't afford to keep playing out of Campbelltown. And I think that's solely for financial reasons.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
club's
let's
obviously got to make money, and they're
let's
struggling.
let's get our teeth into it, Steve. He did mention over 9,000 members, so they're slowly building that. At least it's a realistic goal, not the Fairies number that Pasco used to give out. But the bulk or 90% of the podcast he did was around Campbelltown and puffing the chest out and saying it's time to, not for words, for actions from Campbelltown City Council. He said that the club over the last year has put a lot of things in place in terms of their actions. $2 million Empower program, visited over 24 schools, dedicated office in Campbelltown, stronger links with Junior League. And he's basically said that unless we can get 50 million upgrade to the stadium over the next 3 years and potentially over 100 million spent over the next 10 years, that the side will be happy to walk away at the end of 2026 when this short-term Stadia deal expires. But he did put the big caveat. Is it caveat? I got that wrong last time. It's not caviar, it's caveat.
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 Caveat. It's caveat, is it?
Depending on where you live, we'll go with caveat. That's fine.
It's not very. Is it a French word?
Don't know. Just don't ask Gary to pronounce it.
Okay. But basically, Stevie put that out there and said, look, if you can get this ground to 22 to 24,000, he was pretty on the money with figures, 1,200 to 1,500 corporates, that the Tigers will play 7 to 9 games there over a 3 to 15 year period. So he's dangling the carrot fairly big there. Seems like he knows exactly what he's doing here, Richo. He's put a June 30 deadline on Campbelltown City Council to get a heads of agreement in order. What do you make of it all?
Mate, it takes me a while. It takes me a while to fully warm to people. I really want to know them and think through things before I give away too much. This bloke, he just does not put a foot wrong. Like, he's got to be one of the best football administrators that I've ever seen. Like Peter V'landys is up there without doubt, but this guy's on the top shelf with him. He hasn't put a foot wrong since he walked into West Tigers, and he came in with a lot of bluff and bluster. And the first thing I said, because this is the way I react, was, I want to see what he does, not what he says. Well, he is just. He's done everything that he said he was going to do and more. And what he did today, he drew a line in the sand, he set a deadline, and he put everyone on notice, knowing he's done all his research, he's done all his background, he's had all his conversations, he knows what's going on, he knows the probability of success, right? He's not just throwing a fishing line in the water hoping to catch a fish. He knows what he's doing. And I have absolutely no doubt that we will get this funding, whether we get the full amount that he wants or part thereof, I don't know, but I'm sure we're gonna get close to what he wants, if not the full amount, because he's just a top operator, and he's not scared to piss people off, and he's not scared to call out the elephant in the room, and that's how you get things done, by calling it out as it is. So I just thought what he did today was absolutely fantastic. And you know what? It's not 50 and 100. Like, there's already 30 odd promised. It's then an additional 50 on top of that as well, which hasn't sort of like been talked about much in the news this hour.
Just a few more quotes or paraphrase from Richo, Gary, before I get your reaction. He said the current ground's not to standard required for NRL. We need a stadium to build ourselves around. I assume that build means majority of games. We need to address the financial advantage the clubs at the big stadiums have. He basically said that we're $4 or $5 million worse off each year than the likes of Parramatta, Penrith, Roosters, who have got the new grounds or grounds coming in soon. How big a news would this be if this upgrade gets rubber stamped?
Well, it's crucial for the club. That's why he's gone so hard today, because this has to be done for us to be financially viable. A few key interesting points to come out of it. The academy that's being built down there isn't majority a West Tigers centre there. They're calling it a centre of excellence. It was announced as a centre of excellence, but it's primarily a research facility for the university down there. So the club will use it a little bit, but the West Tigers haven't been consulted in the planning stages for that. They're not the main tenant of that. So while it's going to be great for the community down there, it's not as beneficial for the West Tigers, and in fact will reduce the capacity of the stadium down there. So the capacity now is at about 18,000. So that 30 million that's being spent on that academy will actually reduce the crowds that we can have there. So I think that's really key in it. So we really need this upgrade to go ahead to make it. It's the corporate facilities. I think that's a really big part of it. Campbelltown, Leichhardt Oval, can't match the corporate facilities that they can get at CommBank. So they can't bring in that top end dollar. But it's also about creating a ground that we can grow in. If we're down to 17, 16,000 for Campbelltown Stadium, how's that viable for our future? Leichhardt Oval is down to about 16,000 at present. How is that viable for our future to be playing games majority there? I believe that there needs to be at least a 24,000 seat stadium at the main ground we're playing at. And he announced today there'll be 7 to 9 games. That will make Campbelltown Stadium the main stadium we play at, with a few games up at Leichhardt, which it sounds like Leichhardt, the Inner West Council, is quite happy with the funding arrangement and the amount of games that the West Tigers are proposing to play there. So it looks like the majority of games, if they can get this over the line, will be played down at Campbelltown Stadium. I think that's best for the future of the club, with a few games up at Leichhardt. This is really crucial, and that's why he's come out and been so bullish about it, because we need this to continue to compete with the Roosters, to be able to continue to compete with Parramatta, because there's a haves and haves not in the NRL at the moment, and it's really based around the stadiums that sides are playing out of. If you have a look at the big teams, the teams that are well off financially, they're all playing in purpose-built, state-of-the-art stadiums. The teams that are struggling or down further are the ones that are playing in suburban grounds. Now, we need to get those suburban grounds, if we want to keep playing there, up to a standard where we can compete with those other stadiums.
Just before I throw to Nick, Gary, I'm interested in the time frame, because when he says, if you give us this upgrade, we'll commit to 7 or 9 games. Let's say it does go ahead. Would it be possible, we're guessing a bit here, to get a 24,000 seat stadium by the start of 2027? Or would Richo maybe have to cop it and say, we'll play here for another 2 or 3 years, 7 or 9 games before it's at full freight?
Look, I don't know if they'll be playing all games there, because Leichhardt Oval's got its redevelopments to do as well. And I would think that those redevelopments are unlikely to occur at the same time.
It's actually the hope that this is not the way it is at the moment. It is sort of scheduled for the same time. What they want is Leichhardt redone in 27, Campbelltown redone in 28. So by 29, where we've got our 2 home grounds.
So would that mean possibly out of action for a season? Those grounds?
Yeah.
Right.
But during that time, you'd have the other ground to play games at, and they'll be using CommBank as well. So I don't think there's a situation where before at least 2028 where we're based at just Leichhardt and Campbelltown. But that is the plan. The plan is to get these stadiums up to the standard they need to be and play our home games at our traditional suburban grounds, but much better traditional suburban grounds. And then we don't need to go to CommBank. 24,000, I think, is the bare minimum you can really aim for. I'd rather, look, 24, 25, it's pretty similar. What we can't do is end up with, I think Leichhardt Oval is going to be about 20,000 when it's redeveloped. Campbelltown can't be that number. Campbelltown needs to be more than that 20,000.
We've seen the architectural designs for Leichhardt. Do they exist for Campbelltown? Has that been done as well?
No, not yet, but the plan it wouldn't be a knockdown of the grandstand at Campbelltown. It'll be kind of building around the southern end and getting the stand to go around the southern end.
That's where the athletics track is, isn't it?
That's the northern end. So the northern end is where the new academy is going to be. So
I would have thought it'd be too hard because you're building on the back of the Leafs Club, aren't you? Northern end.
Yeah, but there is a fair bit of space in between the ground and so the field and the club. So even behind the hill they've got there, there's a road wide walking path that goes up behind there that you can get a car up in and out of there. So I think there's enough room to do it there, but I think that would be the aim, is to build around and extend that grandstand so it goes around right the way around that southern end. And there is meant to be seating with the on the back of the academy that's being built at the northern end, but that will reduce the capacity of the ground. So I think it's really important that we get this extra 50 so we don't end up with a ground out at Campbelltown that is 17,000. We can't have that going into the future.
He mentioned, which I thought was interesting, Steve. I don't know if he just sort of let this slip or whether it was deliberate. Knowing Richo, it's probably deliberate. He said our membership numbers are really poor in Campbelltown compared to Balmain. I'm assuming he means the Inner West and Leichhardt-based members. But one, is that a surprise? And two, if you're looking 15, 20 years ahead, is that the right mix? Majority of games at Campbelltown, about 9, and a few at Leichhardt.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that's the right mix. As long as we get the full, upgrade, and as we've been saying, that we get that 24,000 seat stadium. But as far as the location goes and the area and where we're going to be pulling juniors from and where the future of the club is, it's absolutely Campbelltown. I think it's nice and it's right and it's nostalgic. And we still need to honour the Inner West and maintain Leichhardt Oval because, blokes like me, I love Leichhardt Oval, right? But I accept that 3 or 4 games at Leichhardt is enough. That's probably more than enough. And the rest of them out at Campbelltown. As far as membership, I don't know what to believe out there. I don't know, because you hear on the socials so often, the MacArthur don't embrace the West Tigers and the West Tigers need to do more. Well, they are doing more. They're actually doing a lot out there. It's in the strategic plan, and they're honouring the strategic plan in upping their ante as far as their involvement in the Southwest. But then last season we sold out Campbelltown every time we went there, so we could pull a crowd. But this year the crowds have been down a little bit. Maybe that's because one was a 6 o'clock Friday game. So I don't know. For me, it's hard to get a gauge on that true Tigers, or whether the Southwest are truly embracing West Tigers yet. But can't give up. Got to keep getting out there and making MacArthur area West Tigers territory.
Richo said today, Steve, that we're now doing a lot out there, but in the past we weren't doing enough, and I think that's the big issue, is that we haven't been doing enough out there in the past, and doing it for 1 year is probably only on the borderline of proving that the club has changed in regards to that. The moving the officers out there, I think, was a really positive move and something we probably should have done a long time ago. But if you want to build that membership base out there, you need to have the facilities to do it. And a 17,000 seat stadium doesn't have the facilities really to build your membership base, especially when the majority of those seats are not undercover. So when you have a game like we had against the Warriors, where it was wet and not very nice out there, the undercover seating at CommBank and at Leichhardt isn't great. It's only that one stand that has undercover seating down at Campbelltown. The other side has a grandstand, but the covering over that isn't great either. So that's something that needs to be worked on as well. I'm not surprised we only got 12,000 against the Warriors, because the stadium just doesn't really cater for those conditions.
Isn't it sad? We're talking about, what are we talking about? 50 mil required for Campbelltown. How much is Leichhardt getting?
40 guaranteed, wasn't it? Leichhardt?
40 guaranteed, yep.
40. I've just done a quick search. So the Panthers stadium upgrade, that's 309 mil, and that's coming from the government. Parramatta Stadium at CommBank, 360 mil. What a shame we can't get something out of the state government bucket.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be worse, Nick. You could be stuck at Shark Park holding about 4,000 at the moment. That looks terrible, that place.
Who cares about Shark Park?
Yeah.
It's interesting because there's probably not a lot of political gain for the state government in actually putting funding towards this. the fact that our third home ground is one of their stadiums, they would probably prefer us to move to CommBank. So I think this is probably something they're going to have to attack with the federal government. But as Richo said, basically implied today, it's not the West Tigers' responsibility to get the funding for this. The West Tigers don't own the ground. It's Campbelltown Council that own the ground, and they need to find a way to get this funding for us to continue to play there.
The other thing that's put us behind in this whole situation is the past admin of West Tigers were gunning for a super stadium in Liverpool, just down the road from Lee Hadjipantalis' office, is what I'm led to believe. But yeah, they were hoping to get a big stadium out there, share it with Canterbury, and that would be the new home ground. But that was never going to get off the ground when the state government have already got 4 large stadiums in the state already, that they've funded. So they weren't going to put a 5th one in, and so that's why it's going back to council and federal government and MacArthur.
Anyway, I feel like it's Steve. You mentioned before, just you can't really get a handle on where that area is at, but I think it's when I go to games there, and last year there were sellouts there, numerous sellouts. But what differentiates to me to Leichhardt, when I go to Leichhardt, I feel like it's a real old school, a lot of old fans, Balmain fans or whatever, that might only go to there. But when I went to Campbelltown, and this will sound like a negative, but it's not, a lot of opposition fans. Like there were so many Broncos fans when we went. I just think it's a rugby league area. So if you went to schools out there and you asked 30 kids in a class, who do you support? I reckon maybe 5 might say the Tigers, but some would say Broncos, Storm, Rabbitohs, whoever. So I think you've got to actually treat that as a positive, that it's a huge rugby league area and people love league and they will love the team more if, 1, you actually win some games, and 2, you play more games out there.
Yeah, well, winning solves all problems, doesn't it? You know, if we start winning consistently and they're playing at Campbelltown Stadium consistently, kids are going to be drawn there and they're going to follow the team, right? So you're going to have a generation of supporters out of the southwest. We've got to make it happen. Next 10 years, 15 years is really important for that. It's not going to happen overnight, though.
But I think that's the key point. This isn't a short-term strategy. This isn't about increasing your membership down there overnight. That the club has to be in this for the long haul, and the fact that there is a lot of rugby league supporters out there. I've heard the argument mentioned heaps of times that they all support other teams, but I think that can be a real positive, Eddie, because you go after the kids. If you're winning football games and you have the players out in the schools and doing coaching stuff out there and interacting with the kids,
won't they? They'll change.
You'll get that next generation, and we've spoken many times about how the last 10 years is probably a lost generation of kids. Well, this is an opportunity to build a new generation of kids in that Campbelltown area and pick them up as West Tigers supporters, where their parents may be South Sydney or Parramatta or Canterbury, and this is an opportunity to get their kids as Tiger supporters.
Let's preview the game, boys, because there's a game this Sunday afternoon in Newcastle. I was going to call it Marathon Stadium, Nick, but that's probably dating myself a little bit. Don't know what it's called
International
now.
Sports Ground.
Sponsors Stadium or something. But it's definitely up in Newcastle. And we've lost our last 7 to the Knights, Nick. Is that a concern, or we sort of try and throw history out the window with this new look side that we got?
I think Joel said on Sunday night that that Newcastle's probably one of several teams that have got the wood over us of recent years. So I'm not too bothered by the fact we've lost 7 in a row.
16 others, I think, Nick.
Yeah, I think that's probably close to the money. And I guess with every loss you get closer to a win too. But no, look, every game worries me. I know you made a point, Eddie, during the week in our chat that Newcastle's got quite a few players out this week, and we're pretty close to full strength. So like we said at the top of the pod, this is a game that we have to win. Not just should, but I think we have to win this one. I still get concerned looking at Newcastle's team. Their backline still scares me. Fletcher Sharp carved us up in round 1 at Campbelltown, so he's my worry. Bradman Best is another one. Him and Gagai in the centres, they're pretty lethal combination out wide. They can pick us apart. So we're going to have to be at the top of our game. But, like any other good game of NRL, we're going to have to win the forward battle. I think the boys have got something to prove this week too. That roll, or I won't call it a rollover, but that 20-odd point loss last week hopefully is a one-off, and hopefully we can come out and turn that around pretty quick, Smart.
Steve, I don't know how the NRL do their draw, but it's very interesting. You play a team in round 1 and round 6, and we played Parramatta in round 2 and round 7. So I only played them a month ago. Obviously went down 10-8. It was a bit of a bludger of a game, as you'd expect in round 1. Both teams were pretty rusty. But what's the best way to beat Newcastle this time round, or learn from round 1 game?
Okay, from my perspective, two things. One, we've got to play it through the middle. Right, we've got to play it through the middle. We've got a better forward pack. We've got a better starting forward pack, I believe, and we've definitely got a better bench rotation. So I think we're going to play it through the middle. They are decimated. They're decimated with injury. So if we can play through the middle, get Appy, bringing people on the ball, when De Silva gets out there. I said earlier how important it was for Talon De Silva to come on for that 20-minute spurt, and really drive through the middle and get momentum through the middle. That's how we'll beat the Knights. The other thing, right, is that we just have to be right up on them defensively. We have to be on the ball and quick line speed, because, as Nick said, Ponga, the 5'8", Bradman, Best, and they can make something of nothing. So we can't give them any room. And I'll just say one other thing that we need to be. We've got, because you do need to take note of this sort of stuff. We've got Jared Sutton as the referee. We've got Grant Atkins in the bunker, and we've got the other Sutton as one of the touch judges. Three of the most pedantic blokes I know with a whistle. So why am I mentioning that? Because we need to be disciplined, right? Sutton will cane us if we are ill-disciplined. It'll be a 6-again fest. So we must play a disciplined game against them, but play the long game. Play the long game against them. We have got the better team.
Yeah, I thought the game against Canterbury last weekend was really interesting. Up until half-time, Newcastle were right in that game. I think it was 2-0 until a couple of minutes before half-time. And they threw a lot at the Bulldogs, but the Bulldogs kept on turning them away. And for me, that's the key. Like, we got to be strong during that opening 20 minutes, when I don't think that's our strongest period of football. So I really think we've got to come out and really hold them in that first 20 minutes. But as Steve said, they fell apart through the middle in that game. The longer the game went on, their defence just got really loose, and they had front rowers running through massive gaps to score tries. So for me, the work of Appy, as Steve said, around the ruck is going to be crucial. I reckon Terrell May will pick up a try at some point this week to make up for the one where he didn't get the ball down a couple of weeks ago. So I really think we can damage them in the forwards, especially now that Saifiti is out. I think that's going to weaken their pack a heap. And once we get our bench rotation on, I think you'll see us start to take control of that game. But it's really important, that opening 20 minutes, to stay in that game, to stay strong defensively, to target Ponga in defence. Right? He is their danger man. He's the guy that can really cut us apart and seems to play really well against us pretty much every time we play them. So a real focus on where he is on the field and targeted him when he actually gets the ball. Good line speed to give him less space will really help with that as well. But as Steve said, we're the better team. I think we're much better on paper than they are. I think their outside backs are probably slightly better, and Ponga's one of the best fullbacks in the game. So they're the areas we've got to watch out for. But we're the better team on paper, in my opinion. And this is a game I expect us to win, and probably win fairly well. I think we should be going away from them in the final 20 minutes of the game. I think we're fit this year. The way they fell apart in that second half, they didn't look that fit to me. So I think they're a team we should finish over the top of.
Steve, you talk about the need to be disciplined. Does anyone here get nervous every game because we haven't had someone sin bin yet?
We did after the siren, I think, against Brisbane, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right.
30 seconds ago or something.
It was some irrelevant one. Was it Toa or someone? But
yeah, that's right.
But
if we give them back to back 6 again, 16, 6 again, and march them downfield, that's where Ponga will just go berserk. And like Ponga can put on 3 tries, he can have 3 try assists himself, without drawing breath. Right? He's just an absolute freak, and he's fast. And we struggle with our lateral defense with blokes that run good shape quickly, right? And it happens all the time. And Ponga will do that to us. So we've got to be really disciplined, right, so that they don't get that momentum, that march downfield. And our line speed has to be really, really quick. And we've got to just shut down the space. Don't give Ponga and the other guy, I forget his name, the 5'8", Sharp.
Fletcher Sharp.
Yeah.
Cut down their space.
My concern, Steve's not overly the 6 agains marching them down the field. It's 6 agains time and time again on our try line. If you give them multiple sets in a row on our try line, really worries me. So if they're getting those 6 agains when they're in that attacking red zone, that's just Ponga's bread and butter. They'll throw the shape at us and get Ponga out on the edge. And you're right about our lateral movement. You have a look at our centers out there, and our second rollers aren't great for lateral movement. Fainu's coming off a hamstring injury the other week, so his lateral movement's not going to be great. Seyfarth's lateral movement's never been great defensively.
And Luai's shoulder's no good either. Like they are going to try to target Luai for sure on his. I don't know if it's his left or right, but they're going to
use his left shoulder.
I wasn't going to have a rant this week, Steve, but you've led me into it. It's like leading the horse to water.
I was being really positive.
It's not a rant.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You're making that decision to drink.
Drink it now, Steve, because can you guess for me and this surprised me, this really surprised me, the average salary of a top referee?
Yeah, I can, because I saw it. It's about, the top referee gets about 300,000.
That's that, mate. And they should, I listened to that, probably the same one you saw. They should be, like, I can't stand this Jared Sutton and some of them, because the impact they have on a game, I just worry that some of these games, especially with this ridiculous crackdown they're doing, but the amount of 6 agains they give for really pedantic, stupid, like nothing offences, and I don't care about their mental health. If they're earning $300K a year, they should be fronting the press conference after the game, explaining how they're refereeing the game. Is that fair, Steve, or too strong?
Oh, look, I agree with you. I don't know whether referees...
People earn $300,000. That's like the Prime Minister or something. They should. Why do we have to put them as koala bears?
Well, I think Jared Sutton and Prime Minister's probably got a fair
getting
bit
bagged on social media. Who cares? If they're going to make bad decisions and earn $350,000, stand up and explain them. I
think that the crackdown from the NRL, not the high tackle one, but this. That you're not allowed to, coaches aren't allowed to say anything about them in press conferences. Annesley doesn't do his Monday mornings anymore, and now apparently the NRL are asking the talk shows to give them a run sheet on what they're going to talk about. Like, holy smokes, this is a democracy. If there's free speech, you've got to be accountable, and the referees are as accountable as anyone. The problem with the game is now you've got me started, right?
Yeah, Steve.
Keep going, Steve. Keep going.
Right, let's get into it.
You better stop, Steve. We'll get a cease and desist letter from the
NRL have got the dirt with the fact that all the coaches come out and all the fans and all the commentators and journalists come out and bag referees for not being perfect. Yet the NRL have set up a system with the bunker and the way the bunker is adjudicated where they are aiming for perfection. And then when all the commentators have a go at them because they don't get perfection, they have a big sook about it. Get rid of the bunker. Let a referee a game. Get all the crap out of his ear, right? Get all the technology out of his. Let the bloke think on the field. Make decisions as he goes. And let us accept the fact that from time to time there are going to be mistakes. And yeah, the old furphy, there might be a grand final decided by a mistake. Well, players make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So do referees. Get rid of the bunker and all the technology and go back to accepting the fact that referees do a pretty good job.
Eddie, you may have had Eddie? You may have had a little drink, Eddie, but there's no water left after Steve got into that trough. But I do agree.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I agree with you fully, Steve. And my issue isn't so much around the referees on the field. They're going to make the mistakes.
Yeah, that's same.
It's the bunker. And I think the more, and I think we've spoken about it before, a captain's challenge on try scoring situations only, I think it's the perfect way to do it. Make the referees make a decision. And if they get it wrong, it's the captain's responsibility to put his hand up and challenge that decision. Takes a lot of the pressure away. It gets them out of the ear. They constantly have someone talking in their ear. And I don't even care if all the referees don't referee the same way. Back in the 90s, not every referee went into the game with the same KPIs and looked at the game the exact same way. It was never an issue. And we talk about our game becoming robotic in the way teams attack. Well, a lot of that comes down to all the referees try and referee in the exact same way. Get some a bit of variety in how referees referee, and that will suit different attacking styles as well. So, I this nonsense about trying to be perfect, it's not working anyway. Have a look at the forward passes they missed in our game the other night. You can't get it perfect, and especially they'll replay a try in the bunker, and half the people watching the game, half the commentators can't agree on what the ruling should be. So you're never going to get perfect in adjudicating a game of rugby league.
Right, Nick, before you host the quiz, I'll ask for a score prediction, just a couple of words from the boys. But before that, just my quick segment I wanted to get in. Eddie's Gambling, I'm calling it now, Nick. I know you like this segment.
Yeah.
I was calling it data, but it's basically gambling. So I've just decided let's just call it Eddie's Gambling.
So we need to get a gambling company to sponsor the pod. Is that what you're saying?
I'd love that. That'd be great. But I can't understand this. Newcastle $1.65, Tigers $2.25, which is basically the same as round one. But from round one, we didn't have Buller or Appy, and they had their halfback Cogger, who's not playing. They had Dylan Lucas, their back rower. They had Schiller, their winger, who's not playing as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we start nearly favourites on Sunday. And I am not going to advise people to bet on the Tigers, but I'm surprised that they're outsiders by a significant margin, about 4 points at the moment. What's going to be the score Sunday, Steve?
Oh, gee. Yeah, we'll win. So I'll say we'll be 26-12 Tigers.
Gary, was that your score, was it?
That was my score, so I'm going to go 28-12.
Nick?
We don't care.
Tigers will. Thanks, Gary. I got the hint earlier when Eddie thought he was going to ask me a question, then through to Steve. I think we'll probably win. I think we will win this week. 30 points to 12, resounding win.
So what? Just add 2 on to mine.
Yeah, why not?
2 on to mine.
I'm going to go 20 to 19, boys. Tigers. I'm very, very.
20 to 19.
So they're going to kick a field goal, and we're going to get the penalty after.
They're going to do the old Terry Lamb play, 2 points down, and
behind by 2.
And they're going to go down.
Didn't Latrell do that as well? Did Latrell do that?
Bradman Best. He looks like the sort of bloke that kick a field goal when down by 2. Steve, Nick. What are all your names again? It's time for the quiz, Nick.
Thanks, Eddie. Nice of you to throw to me.
Called you Mick the other night. Do you like that?
Yeah, whatever. Apparently you're the boss, mate, so you can call me whatever you want. Okay, I do have Yottie's quiz. It's obviously a little bit Knights focused. Anyway, let's get into it. Question 1. Which West Tigers player holds the highest win percentage for our club? I'll give you Yottie's got a rule here. They must have played a minimum of 40 games for us. 4-0. Which West Tigers player holds the highest win percentage for our club?
Be someone in that 05 era. I know Robbie Farah was right on about 50%, but it's going to be someone a bit more obscure. I'm going to go with Todd Payton.
Lottie Takiri.
Nope.
Steve,
any clues?
No. Benji Marshall.
No, it was actually a little bit later, 2010 to 2011. Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown, would you believe that?
That was the right period because we won. We made the top 4 2 years in a row.
Not a bad player, Mitch Brown. Question 2 is the nearest to the pin. What was Mitch Brown's winning percentage?
40 games,
54%.
win 25. I'm going to go 66%.
66. What was yours, Steve?
54.
I'll go
54.
67.
I'll tell you what, it's 65%. So I think
Oh.
Eddie just scrapes in there. Well
He
done,
did. I
Eddie.
went the wrong side of him.
You did go the wrong side. All right, question 3. Which of these West Tigers spine players scored a double in Benji Marshall's NRL debut? So it's a multiple choice here. And Yachty says there may be multiple answers. The first one is Robert Miles, Daniel Fitzhenry, Lincoln Withers, Darren Centre.
Benji Marshall's NRL debut.
Withers.
We thumped the Knights 54-10 or something.
Down
and
at Campbelltown.
John Wilson put a couple of kicks in for Daniel Fitzhenry, who scored because I was at the game.
So just to think about that little hint there, there may be multiple answers. So you got Robert Miles, who played fullback, Fitzhenry,
Withers
who
and
played 5'8".
Fitzhenry.
Right. Definitely Fitzhenry. And the other one, who was the other one?
Robert
Darren
Miles.
Centre.
Lincoln Withers,
Darren Centre wouldn't have
Yep.
scored a double.
down centre.
I'll go Lincoln Withers.
All of the above.
All of the above. The answer is Daniel Fitzhenry and Lincoln Withers. It was 52-12 in round 20, 2003. I was at that game. Eddie, where were you
So was
sitting?
I. Yeah, so was I.
Yeah, I was there too.
Up the hill. I actually remember going to the Leeds Club after the game and just seeing Benji. I don't think he was old enough to get in the Leeds Club, but he was in there for the presentation. Then they had to fly him back to the Gold Coast for school the next day. So it was a
Are we
crazy
still
time.
recording?
We are recording, Steve.
Okay, just wondering.
Are you still awake, Steve?
Just.
All right, let's get to the next question so we can tuck Steve into bed. It's a true or false. In his 5 games against West Tigers, all of which were wins, Andrew Johns never scored a try. Is that true or false?
True.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
say true.
I reckon it's false.
You're wrong, Eddie. It's true. Failed to score a try, but did kick 26 goals. So there you go. Okay, get each contestant, so boys, this is for you, to guess the 4 positions that John Morris played during his 31-game spell as a Novocastrian between 2001
Wing.
2002.
So he started on the wing.
Centre.
Yeah. Played
Bench.
hooker and
Walker.
halfback.
I would say wing, centre, bench, and lock. Don't know.
Steve, you're awake enough to have a
He's
guess,
not
mate?
interested in the quiz.
Oh, no, I said, yeah, wing, hooker, halfback. Yeah, I'll say bench.
Okay, we've got 13 games off the bench, 9 games at hooker, 8 games on the wing, and 1 as halfback, which was his last game as a Knight. So there you go. I don't know what the score is, but you boys are doing well. And
I
Eddie,
won again.
you won again. Well done. Well, there's one more question. It's who am I? Because
I like
Yachty
it.
did.
They were not there last week.
No, Yachty did make a point here that you missed out on the who am I. So here is the who am I. I was born in Foster in 1980. I debuted with a merged club, and then I moved to a mid-season to a joint venture club. I made 27 appearances, with all of them during a coach's only coaching career. I don't like the way Yachty's worded that, but I think he means this guy played 27 games under a coach that only coached at the club during his coaching career. I joined the Super League and remained there for the rest of my career. I returned to Australia with the Northern Pride and sustained an arm injury on my debut and never played again. I started my coaching apprenticeship in 2014 with numerous Queensland clubs. Officially a rugby league coach in the year COVID-19 entered our world, and I'm currently the Newcastle Knights NRLW coach. Any clues?
I don't know, but I was thinking someone like Ben Jeffries. Ben Jeffrey. Age 45, so he might have played for us in the 2000s. He played for us?
Yes, he did play for us. Yeah.
Very unclear, that clue we gave about coaching. I didn't understand a word of that, but
No, that was a little bit odd. But I'll save you boys a bit of time. You're correct. It's Ben Jeffries. So well done, Eddie. Spot on, mate. I think you're a winner.
Good.
all right, boys. Well, that's been a marathon podcast, Steve. So my advice to you guys is, take the pom-poms off. We don't have to spend the first 15 minutes doing the positive affirmation. We'll just be straight into the podcast next week.
You're the host, mate. I thought the host decides how the show runs.
Just keeping Declan happy, boys. I saw, I think maybe Declan or Joel compared him to our Tony Suker of the podcast. I thought that was not really a big compliment. I like that one.
That was Joel.
Can I just say, I know we've gone over time, right? But Declan, seriously, Declan's talking about being positive. The game kicks off. We don't make it to the 10-meter line on the first play, and Declan's already on the chat saying, "Game over. We're finished. We're done. It's all busted." Mate, come on, Declan.
I do try and throw a bit of fishing rod out there for him to bite. So look forward to 4:00 this Sunday, boys. It'll be. You guys are doing an ambush event, is that right, Steve? This Sunday?
Oh yeah, we are. So we are. I haven't written any of this
What
down.
do you to remember that, wouldn't it?
Help me out, Gary. Yeah, we are at West Ashfield this Sunday at 2:30. Right,
2:30.
so 2:30 to 3:30 we'll have an ambush event, and then we'll all watch the game together there from 4:00. So if you're looking to watch the game with some friends and have a chat and talk all things West Tigers, we're still trying to secure a guest. We haven't been successful yet, but even if we don't, we'll have lots of fun. We'll have giveaways. We'll have Yachty's quiz. We'll have the podcast. Some of the podcast team members there. I think Declan is going to come.
Declan is coming along.
Just had a go at him. So
In his fairy suit.
in his fairy suit. That's right. So 2:30 West Ashfield this Sunday.
Good place to watch the game. I assume hopefully it's in that big function room with the movie screen.
It is, yes.
Big screen. So I'll see if I can get up there because cricket season is officially over. Gary, are you going or not?
Oh, I'll be there. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, mate.
All right, thanks for tonight, boys. Let's hope we can get a win on Sunday. And
We will get a win on Sunday.
it'll be Joel's podcast Sunday night. Thanks, boys.
Thanks,
Bye.
boys.
Thanks, fairies.